I gotta make a check on this road. We had blown this out with a snowblower, but I don't know if I can get back up here for tomorrow. I just want to make sure I can before Bob comes up, you know. And because if not, I've got to come back out here with the tractor and hit it again. Blowing in up here on top. So it's only got a couple inches. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? What I do care about is if I got a foot of snow. So now we can start seeing what we went through. It's just blowing right in. I think I can get up here tomorrow. It's just. Anybody done with winter yet? So we think we have a playground? Yeah. We gotta pick enough of a tree to run the saws to actually warm them up. I see 3 ash trees there that I can drop right down. So we gotta pick one of those. Yeah, I did this morning. I see what you're saying. It'll pack down. We got logs in there too, so I don't have to shovel nothing. Not really. Figure we'll see if we can get enough of a fire going to cook a hot dog. Let's just see how they cold start. Now this one here I've never run other than in the shop. It's the one we just put together. So I'm kind of curious to see how it does its first real start. Junk pile build 2014 I've run for a couple of videos. Let's see what it does. We run both saws. We cut that back to where that wood's pretty solid, so we can do some basic comparison cuts, I think, just to see what we got for saws. He's got a junk pile builder too, and so do I. And that looks like that's burning pretty good. He brought a 550, but he also brought a really cool 562 that has a full wrap handle. And we're gonna tighten the chains and eat a hot dog and then go down and run them on the log. Some dogs in a basket there. That was a great idea, so they didn't run away. All right.
I haven't really been too talkative lately, but this day is there's 13 days till spring. And it's windy and it's cold, and it was like in the teens on the way up, and it's probably in the mid-20s now. We're trying to duck down out of the wind, and that's not, well, you can't really.
No.
The only way to duck out of the wind is to go back down to the garage. So that's the conditions here. And John, if you're watching this, you have to tell us, this is Sunday, you have to tell us what the temperature was in Georgia today. On Sunday, what's this, the 7th?
No, he's going to tell us that they have colder days in Georgia. And he used to walk to school as a kid, uphill both ways.
Oh, jeez.
That's what.
You thought I was the wise ass. So this is, I guess this is a little part two of that Autotune thing. All that junk that we had, some of that junk now is in saws that are running. There's a 562 that I don't know what you did to it. One of these is stock, which I guess is this one.
Yeah, that is absolutely stock.
This one's totally stock.
And it has older stuff too. It has like the older carburetor, the 7001 ignition. Basically, that is stock as of like a 2014 saw.
Well, I got the old carburetor.
44?
Yeah, I got a 44 with the 2803 ignition or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Which is this one. This is like, other than I poked a couple holes in the muffler to get the heat out, which is not an issue today. So there's certainly not going to be any hot start problems for anybody that's run into that. This thing's got a busted case, and I didn't do, like we said, I didn't, this saw is a 2013, so this carburetor and coil come from earlier, and like we said last time, I didn't plug these in before I brought them up today, because that was part of the deal. You know, can you just run these things without screwing around with them? I've never done it that way because it's always been so easy for me to just, you know, plug them in and hit the button. So, but this time I decided I will try it without plugging them in. I do have an older 550. I don't really know what took this out. This might have been straight gas, but it got roached pretty quick. This is the older 550, and and a hello to Bill down in Roscoe. I do have your number, and depending on what time I leave, I might take your offer up and stop for coffee. That depends on when I leave, or unless I duck in and go through Downsville. So this is just like the small saw. This one is actually cosmetically pretty good. It didn't really get banged up. And then there's this other one, which I guess you did a video on, so everybody kind of knows what you did to that other 562.
Yeah, that's the one that has that VEC piston in there from. Yeah. And then other than that, it's not been flashed. It just, I took a EL48 that I had sitting in a box.
Right.
And it has a thinner gasket, so it has ostensibly a little more compression and a muffler mod and basically old parts. Nothing really special.
Well, if we're going to plug pistons, I got to mention we did this with one of those Dukes pistons, saw salvage pistons, those coated ones, and it does definitely. I mean, and this is the first time I run it, so it's got half a tank of gas on this piston. It feels pretty good. It's got good compression. But, you know, I don't know. One thing we're not doing today, we're not adjusting any carburetors for the cold weather. On a day like this, in this cold, you would probably have to tweak the carburetors on the older saws.
Oh, no doubt.
To put them where you want them. You know, and we don't have to mess around with that today, which is good.
But we will. It may blurp and blap when you first fire it up.
Yeah, who knows what it's going to do.
Yeah.
We have done a little work with them, so it's not like we haven't run them yet today.
Yeah. but they're
they
chilled
cool off
down.
pretty quick. It cools off so fast, and I was afraid to over choke it. So I was like, this can't need a choke already, but it did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just gonna play with these. I don't care if you put it on video or not. It doesn't matter. I just want to feel the differences. Go to the 550, then the stock one, then this one, and then whatever you did to that one.
Yeah. I'll just let it run.
Yeah, or actually, you know what? Let's warm them up first, so we don't have to go through that warm-up procedure, 4 different times on the video.
Okay. That's actually worth putting on video, at least the first couple to fire up and let them blurp and blap and do what they do.
What, you think it's good to leave them idle?
No. But they're going to be, by the time you get from one to the next, they're going to be cold at this temperature. You're going to have to warm up each one individually.
Yeah. I really didn't get the primer that good. That's nice.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
How many times have I swore I would never cut cookies on camera again? It's so stupid. But you know what? I'm just doing this to
get a feel.
I'm just feeling them. The chain and the tune. Not just you can change it. Where I think it is kind of silly is, like, oh wow, 8.7 seconds. It's like, you guys taking notes on.
I'm not going to put any times up.
This wire's about 5 inches too short.
Yeah. Good.
It's all right.
What's your impression?
I'm not going to get the tack. I don't know. This sounds like it's idling a little fast when it comes off.
Well, maybe it needs just a little more run time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it stretched
Hit
right
that
out.
loose.
Yeah, maybe I
It's
better.
worth putting the chain on though, because it wasn't cutting that good before.
No, it was not.
That's quick. That's really quick.
Yeah, let me tighten up that chain on it. I'm gonna turn the camera off.
Yeah.
All right. See if it'll fire.
No, it's deep. She's running good.
Not sure how we're gonna do this, as I probably ought to sit down here on the end. We're kind of like in the shop. We spent some time up in the hill, and both of us are moving kind of slow. Kind of
You know what?
slow.
It's okay. We're out of shape, but we haven't had any exercise. It's freezing out. It's really cold out, and I don't know what, where some of you. Hey, Len, what's the temperature down in New Zealand today, Len?
You need to get hydrated some?
Huh?
You need this to hydrate?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got some needed exercise, but you get beat up because you got the big heavy clog boots on, and a couple of times you were walking on the snow, and then a couple of times I'm in up to my knees.
Yeah.
And of course, you get all twisted up because you only go one knee at a time. So you got one knee down there and the other leg's up here.
Bob, I said, how ambitious are you? I didn't hear anything.
I didn't even hear the questions.
You did.
When did you say that?
When you're out bucking up the little in the trail, yeah.
Oh, I just kept going.
Well, I had that one ash trail I was thinking of taking down, and but the thought of walking through 2-foot snow to get to it, to put it down, to be up to my knees, up to my waist, sometimes I just sort of let it go.
These things freeze. We had the drinks were freezing out there.
Yeah, no, they're fine.
I could go a glass of Balvenie double wood scotch.
Yeah.
Any of you guys, any scotch drinkers out there? That would just be no ice, no nothing, just one little glass. Get rid of that last bit of chill.
It's cold. It's going to be cold in here soon, too. But the theme for the day was junk piles. And I don't know if you've noticed, but if you kind of look behind and around, there's plenty of junk in this garage.
Yeah. And this was auto junk. It was the Autotune junk.
Autotune junk pile.
That was the main thing, because some of the saws were starting to break in. We threw those things together. But yeah, the point was, you can still do that dead saw, built saw from a pile of crap that we've been doing for 10 years, and you can do it with these Autotune things.
Yeah.
Now that they've been out long enough, and granted, a lot of the early ones blew up, and there's plenty of dead saws to to play with.
Well, so here's the thing, is the premise that I've gone by for the longest time was, because this is about the 562 series. We're not going to get into the 550s yet. He brought a 550 up, and my comment on that was a ripping little saw. And the first generation, there's a bunch of guys who really like them because they're a little bit lighter, which I didn't know.
They're lighter than the new one.
Yeah, and they run good when they run. But that's another story for another time. I didn't really get into 550s, so I don't know much about them. But the 562s, what kind of got me going was some online. There's so much complaining about Autotune, and the whole thing it's almost like a jealousy thing. Why don't they make that accessible to everybody? And the first thing that came to my mind was, do you ever hear anyone saying the same thing about the steel service tool, which is the same? You don't. You only hear it about Husqvarna. So that was the first thing. And I said, that's not a positive way to go, so I'm not going there. And it's an overblown issue for me, because I can go back through a lot of these old junk piles, and if those carbs had been flashed and that saw was running, the premise was, if I put it on, at the first saw, if I put it on an ignition that had the same numbers, it's going to run. And we did it. And Bob kind of brought to the table, well, there might be a little more flex than that. And that's where we're going next, is I'm going to start interchanging between the 7001 ignitions and 7002, and I'll take an EL48 that was flashed for a 7001 and stick it on the 7002 ignition. I expect it to run.
It's not really going to make a difference.
Yeah,
The difference, if you read the service bulletins that I gave you for your homework assignment.
I did.
You know what's great? I'm sitting behind him, and I know somebody watching this is wondering, why I'm going to do this. But, no, it's like,
It's good.
The thing with from the 001 to the 002 coil, it was something about, they call it stability of the spark at idle and high RPM. That's really all it was. So, the idea that you can't mix and match, and I didn't plug any of those ones that I was running today. I didn't plug them in, and I always did that because for me it was easy to just go,
It's still
maybe some of that stuff, it may run a little different, it may settle down, but we run into that with coils on 372s. That's why I think your Johnsrud 48 millimeter runs crisper than the
This
other
is a mystery, by the way. He may have solved it.
because there's a lot of different, it's not just spark or no spark. There's advanced curves. There's the new ones all have a digital advance and not an analog advance. There's a start curve. Some of the coils, especially in the homeowner source now, they spark at lower RPM. They'll spark at like 700 instead of maybe 1400, 1500, which is what they used to do. So for guys, older guys that can't, and this is you, Bill, because you had the surgery. No, and he put the we did the
Spring
assist starter for the
Yeah.
545. It makes a difference. And I'm still not sure if I'm stopping for coffee. I don't know. I'm gonna just kind of doze off on the way home. But yeah. So there's a lot of that stuff where I think it just settled down today. Although the 550 ran good right away. I don't know what the deal was with that. That didn't have any. And some of the parts were mismatched on mine. The 562 was like a 2013. It had the EL44 and a 2803 coil from earlier. I don't even, it's just, because it's a coil, so I don't know, I think there was a little too much concern and sweating about making sure everything matched. If you plug in like a 550, there's something like 5 different carburetors and 4 different coils.
They had those goofy upgrade kits. I don't remember those things, a little spring thing that sat on the diaphragm, like a coil spring of some kind.
I said that, I don't know, I said this the other day to Warren, but what? Some of the stuff that it looks like we're real smart. I actually look things up. It's like, and I think half the guys online make things up. Because I got access. I mean, dealers too. Read your damn service bulletins because they actually tell you a lot. And so I looked at some of this stuff, and like when they change, an IPL update isn't necessarily a service bulletin, but they'll tell you why a part is upgraded, and then they'll tell you. Often they'll tell you what it was intended to do, and why they made the change. I have my glasses, and I'm handing me these. What are we doing? This is a 550.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't read any numbers.
That's for your EL44, and this is an EL44, so I've got a matching. If you want to upgrade your saw to run as good as the one that Bob
I
had,
had a 2802.
you can take this EL44 carb and this 2802 coil. It'll run just as good as the one that Bob was running today. Hop up tip.
We're just kind of rambling here.
Yeah, we've been rambling all day. I think we have. But the point was we had fun with this stuff. It's like puzzle saws for me, and these are just a different form of puzzle. And we're having the same kind of success with these junk piles as we did with the 390s and the 51s and the 372s. And I'm still trying to figure out, as I go through all this, what did I need common service tool for? And I don't.
Well, what you do need it for is
New carb.
you can't take a new carb out of the box because it doesn't know what it is. It has no identity, and it's like on Star Trek, Commander Data. It's got to be programmed. It doesn't have an identity, and once you do that, it's okay. Could you take a carb off a 555 and mix it with a 562 coil? Yeah, probably. The thing is, there's so many combinations. We're never going to be able to do them all.
But we're going to try.
For the guys that want to do like the red stuff,
this is survival.
unfortunately, and I have People say, why'd they do that? Why'd they do that? It's funny, people ask all the time, you know, like, well, why'd they do that? You know, I'm usually like, my answer is, hey, I wasn't at that meeting. So, but stuff for the Johnsrud saws, it's going to go away quick. We were in here early this morning when we're kind of collecting stuff to go up into the woods. And we were talking about, I made a comment that, you know, look at how much stuff, you know, in the 10 years that we've been playing with these saws that you could get that you can't get. Like the amount of parts for like the 200 series saws. And now a lot of the Johnsrud saws are just not going to be supported like they were in the past when Tilton had it. You know, Mother Husky is going to have stuff around for the minimum time. There's some stuff that, I was looking to order one of these for somebody. This in red is already not available. You can't get a complete starter for that, for the 2156, 2159. You can still get the starter housing, and you can build your own, but there's like 6 that they got. So, you know, so there's certain things on the red stuff, for the guys that are into those, you know, parts are going to go NLA faster than you're used to.
Well, there's some good news though. On the 562 theme and the 555 theme, you have the 2258 and the 2260, and pretty much all the plastic, even though they have a different color, all interchanges. Unlike my 2171 to 372, where you can't interchange a lot of things like the handle, the tank, and the pull start, stuff like that. On the 562, 555, 2260, 2258, there's a lot of things that you can just mix and match. So even though you have, which is another reason why getting into these is a good idea, because even though the red versions are not available, the orange ones swap right on. Whereas is like the 2071, 2171, 2065, 2165, even the 2172 plastic is unique to that saw. And when Husky stopped making the red stuff, there is a finite supply that will go away. These are going to be around and be a good, you know, junk pile saw for a long time, I think.
Yeah, we can make some weird combinations too with mixing some of the. I mean, you could take a silver case and wrap it
with red
in Johnsrud stuff, and then part of the fun here. You know, we enjoyed cutting today. I needed exercise in a worse way because it's been too long to, you know, not to get outside, and we enjoyed that. But you know, part of the thing we like to you know, kids playing with Legos. We like to put the saws together.
That's exactly
so
right.
In that regard, you know, you want to keep doing this, and maybe you can't get all the parts that you want to. I mean, some stuff will look ugly. You can't. I mean, if you put like Johnsrud starter on a silver case, it'll probably not look bad, but that looks like crap.
Someone's gonna like it.
You can't do that. That's